Peace and blessings, family. This is your boy Gerald. It is Saturday. You're in the midst of your weekend, and I hope that you are well. Sidestepping the negative by grounding your feet, speaking your truth, and of course, having a connection with the Most High. Because if you are not doing these things, the things that you aspire to accomplish, the things that matter to you, the things that motivate and make your reality will not be possible. I'm saying this, family, because I echoed it before the dawning of 2018. I echoed it the first month of this year, the third month of this year. And now we are in May. If you want to have the life that you aspire to have, you're going to have to make a choice. And in that choice, you're going to have to be transparent, not only with your thought process, but you're going to have to look at it as if every breath is relying that you stay committed to your destination. It is no secret, family, that right outside your door, there is a deflection, misdirection, and of course, endless denial waiting to be claimed, waiting to be ensnared by a decision that was not thought out, boosted by impulse and non accountability. So you're going to have to decide what matters to you. Take a second to decide, is this a need or is this a want? Because there'll be countless amounts of wants that will not hold the weight of one need. Who am I talking to? Haven't you noticed where all the wants are? You can never find peace of mind. You'll never find truth there. You'll never find ownership. But where that need remains, oh, the weight of the possession amounts to the work committed. So you're going to have to decide, family, what do you need? But before you can even ponder that thought, you must question where it comes from. Because with every thought, it must first be created by a word. Before that thought is harvested into a pattern, and that pattern is embraced to become a behavior, you have to go back to the reference point of, does it have your best interest, or is it something that only clouds the end goal? See, I don't have to tell you about that last disappointment because you're still holding it dear today. You're still holding on, hoping that the outcome, no matter how many times it is played out in your mind, no matter how many times it is played out in your mind, no matter how many scenarios, the end result was what the reality was. But what about that accountability? Who was there? Scenarios. The end result was what the reality was. But what about that accountability? Who was there? Why did it play out the way it did? And why did it play out the way it did? And why did it have such an impact that still resonates today? Sure, we could turn around and say, well, that is just based off of the perception, Gerald. That's how I see the world. That's my viewpoint. But what if your viewpoint missed something? What if there was something so small but had a great impact that if you knew, it would have been decisive in the decision chosen? Now, I don't have to tell you, the worst criticism you'll ever come to know is the criticism found in the mirror. Just as every joy, every loss, no one will be able to understand the magnitude, but they can relate in some way, depending on if the experience was like-minded. So you have to go back to what I said before. Be transparent. Now, there's a price to being transparent. Right off the bat, you're going to lose a lot of people that have gained access to your life. Why? Because the person that they've come to know is not the person standing in front of them. Who am I talking to? But shouldn't the desire be the motivation of what truth is all about? The end goal should be coming from wherever you are back to where you lay your head and have peace of mind. You realize how many people wish they had peace of mind? You can't buy it. Doesn't matter how much money you got. If you're still looking over your shoulder, still having to waste energy by remembering of things that were done and things that were said. But yet still in 2018, people easily dismiss that those things called words have power. But yet, one of the first things you learned as a child was the nursery rhyme. Remember? Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. But yet they still do in your adulthood. Don't you realize it? Everything, no matter how far you go, no matter who you talk to, it will always bring you back to center. The center of you. Back to that point of making a decision to really understand, was it all worth it? And the truth of knowing what was a need compared to what was a want. This is not the time to feel like you are. First of all, let me backtrack real quick because I got this feeling that somebody needs to hear this. Let me let you know something. It doesn't matter where you are, what you're going through right now. This is not your end all be all. So why are you living your life like you think it is? That is nothing but transitionary. Nothing but transitionary. Everything you do will motivate or stagnate. Everything you do will motivate or stagnate your steps, your direction. You can't go further unless you learn what is needed to go further. Is it a want or is it a need? Because when it comes to wants, wants always seem to always attract this too. Fear. Fear. Finally, everything's a reality. But if you don't like the reality, you have to change your mentality. And when you change your mentality, you'll have clarity. You'll have peace. You'll know you. Why do you think I always would echo to the intended heart and intended mind? Do you know who you are? Because if you did, you would know what is needed to protect you. Something to think about, huh? Because if you're waiting on those people for your validation, to pat you on the back, to say you did a good job, you'll be waiting a long time. But when you do the work and go within yourself, stay connected to the Most High, you don't need that because your actions are your validations. And little do you know, to the intended heart, intended mind, you may be someone else's inspiration because you are the example, the exception to the rule. So wherever you are, I hope you're well. If you are wasting one iota of time worrying about when is Larry gonna call me, why haven't I talked to Sarah today? Let me go on social media so I can act like a sociopath. Don't you realize social media is only a tool? The greatest tool in that is to alienate you from your thought. That's why it exists. That is why it's so addictive. Why? Because if you don't see the value, let me stop. I'll just say this. It takes 100% effort to be you. That's what makes you unique, not like them. Yeah, I know there'll be countless people say, well, Gerald, imitation is flattery. No, no, it doesn't. Imitation is nothing but the first rule of deflection of a person that does not see the worth in their identity and they find convenience in that path. That's for someone. And when you decide to wake up one day and say, hey, I'm ready to be me, guess what'll happen? You'll grow. You'll actually see how strong you really are and why you didn't need them all along. Maybe this is you where you feel that humdrum mentality. You're saying, well, I've outgrown this environment. When the real question should be asked, what's keeping you there? What motivates this environment? When the real question should be asked, what's keeping you there? What motivated you to be there to begin with? No different. What motivated you to be there to begin with? No different than in being in an environment that yields no positive growth. Why are you wasting God-given time? You do understand that man will never master time because man will never be God. Man will never be able to master forever because we weren't given that right. We were here to grab on the baton, so to speak, to further not only your legacy, but your lineage. So while you spending time disrespecting yourself just for a cheap laugh or a cheap thrill, it ain't gonna be now, but later on you'll see the price that it cost you. And you wonder why people say, This is why they think and say things. This is what they think about you. It doesn't matter what your melanin is. You are still you. You were born as a spiritual being in a fleshly realm to work, to walk on an earthly plane. So it is your responsibility to fulfill the prophecy. Because if you don't, who's going to prepare those who are going to walk after you're gone? This is for somebody because I got a feeling you actually convinced yourself that you are unworthy. Let me tell you something. You may feel that your life is in a holding pattern or in delay, but in actuality, you know what's happening? Only thing is being delayed is future pain. You're actually being protected. So while your insecurity is convincing you, nah, I need to go on over there and see what's going on. No, I need to add the period to the statement. No, I need to make sure that I am the end all be all. Just ask yourself, what's it going to cost you? God made you perfect. But if you can't see it, it is not man's responsibility to show you. But I'll tell you, you are. God's praying for you. You know I am. I see your worth. And for that, it helps me discern mine. Maybe if you finally do something different and have that conversation with him, it is not his responsibility to seek you out. It is your responsibility to connect to him. He gave you the greatest gift. You exist. That's why when you hear the term intimacy, do you see what's inside you? Because if you did, you would already know you're blessed. You would already know you're blessed.